Alright, 4.6 Savage here, talking about the Cougar today. This is going to be the second video I dropped today, make up for the lack that I've been posting. But we're going to talk about what else happened to the Cougar since last time I made a video and thing. So, new to the Cougar. I have done front shocks, I have done rear shocks, I've done new sway links on the rear and on the front. I have done a passenger side control arm. Next is the driver's side control arm. Now, the issue I have found with the Cougar, I was having a big issue with the driver's side tire was when accelerating in second or third gear, it would turn the tire in on itself, basically try to steer to the direction of the driver's side tire. So it would steer to the left, and it would pull the steering wheel to the right. And it was weird. I didn't know why it was doing that. Well, I thought it had to do with the control arm because there is a principle called torque steer. And I'll go and explain that in a minute. But what I found it to be was I went and got new tires because it had completely balled that tire out. Well, when they were replacing the tires, they walked over to the passenger side. Now note, I had just put new tie rods on this front end. They had noticed that there was play in the tie rod, and he moved the tie rod up like that. So I got home and I had thought, well, I guess we just didn't tighten the tie rod up enough. What had happened was the tie rod, or the spindle, I guess from age, or maybe the old tie rods, has been beveled out. Which means the hole has been dug side to side. So the tie rod, even fully tightened up, would wiggle side to side. So as it did this, it slowly wore the threads off of the tie rod. The only thing holding my tie rod on this car was the cotter pin. So I had to go get a new tie rod, and we put a sort of washer in and bent it down to go into the spindle to make up that play. Now that's not going to last very long. I'll get maybe 1 to 2 weeks out of it, but I need a new spindle. Currently I'm working on that, but it keeps raining here and I'm not going to the junkyard when it's pouring down rain. I need a new spindle, and I also need a one-touch relay for the door so the window will roll down. Now, we're going to explain what torque steer is. Torque steer is what happens when you have a front-wheel drive transaxle. Front-wheel drive transaxles normally have what we call unequal length axle shafts. That meaning this axle shaft here is longer than this axle shaft here. And it's that way because normally the transaxle is seated on the driver's side and it's closer to the driver's side wheel, so the axle does not have to be as long. Now, some companies have thought of this, and they have added a sort of like knuckle to make the axles the same length. But anyway, that's beside the point. When you have a shorter axle, it is thought that more torque is transferred to that wheel. So when more torque is transferred to that wheel under heavy acceleration, notice, under heavy acceleration, my issue is under normal driving conditions. I'm talking like 2,000 to 2,500 RPM. They're talking about full out drag racing these, but it will pull you to the, it will basically pull the wheel to whichever way the tire's spinning. So, what all causes this that makes it severe? That is improper tire pressure, improper tire wear, improper, like it said, unequal length shafts, and improper alignment, and last but not least, bad control arms. This is what led me to believe it was that until I found the tie rod end. So let's say you have brand new control arms on it. How do you fix it? There's a couple ways to fix it. Lower the front end so it changes the suspension geometry. Shim the right motor mount so not as much torque is put on that side. Play with your tire pressures, play with your alignment. That's about all you can do, or learn to control it. But this basically explains what torque steer is and how to fix it. This is only on front-wheel drive cars, because those of us who drive rear-wheel drive cars don't have that issue. Most of us rear-wheel drive counterparts have limited slip differentials, so when we get on it, both tires lock up. But that's all for this video. Like and subscribe, and remember, be savage.